Hello, hello. Real quick before we get into the episode, a simple request. If you like this episode, if you like any of the episodes we put out every single week, we would absolutely love it if you would share it with one friend. That's it. Just send them a text, send them an email, mention it next time you see them at the gym. Let them know that they may also like chasing excellence. There's no better way for us to grow our crew here at the show than if folks like you who are already listening share it with somebody who should be here. So if you've got a friend who's not listening, please consider sending them this episode or any of your favorite episodes. We thank you in advance. Okay, let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to Chasing Excellence. How the heck are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm great, Patrick.
We haven't done an episode with just you and I for like 6 weeks.
Is that true?
Yeah, we've kicked off the year with a lot of friends of the show, a lot
I
of
guess
guests.
you're right. Yeah.
This is just kind of the first time I squeezed one out. I think we might do this week and next week, just you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about this. I missed you. I missed you. All right. So we had something fun this week. You posted something on Instagram some number of weeks ago. I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, that you called 10 things that are hard to hear, but true. It's a list for us. So we've got 10 things. We're just going to talk through each one of these. I thought all of them were great. I'll give all 10 first, just so folks can know kind of what's coming. And then we're going to chip away at each one of them. So here's the list. Here are 10 things that are hard to hear, but true. Number 1, we need to work on changing us, not them. Number 2, we complain a lot and it's not helping. Number 3, our priorities are out of whack. Number 4, the story we tell ourselves isn't true. Number 5, we feel like we are better or worse. We are not. Number 6, we could be doing so much more. Number 7, we are not good at being objective. Number 8, being defensive is holding us back. Number 9, life isn't fair. Get over it. And number 10, more things won't make us happy. All right, before we jump into the first thing, anything worth saying about where this list came from or why you put it together? Or?
It's funny, as you're reading it, I'm actually like sort of doing the I'm I'm trying to hear them for the first time again. So I'm playing the react. I'm trying to what emotions bring up to me. And what I'm realizing is like whatever number 6 on through was basically just responding to my feelings.
So
It was like, stop, so it's maybe I had that when I first wrote it in mind, except for the last one. The last one kind of throws it in as the carrot thing, because I think that's the thing that we all need to recognize as well. But I think it stems from being a leader and being a leader of myself first. That's really what it's like. I'm trying my darndest, like I think most of us are here, of trying to live a life as close to and as great alignment as possible with what I feel is the best version of myself. I feel like we're all chasing what is the good life. And I think that we get really distracted from that a lot. This is more of a reminder to myself than anything else. And I use the pronoun we and our intentionally. I am not saying you. And that's very much because I don't want people to think this is preachy. I'm not trying to be. This is as much for me as it is for anybody else. So if I feel like I can remind myself first, these 10 principles, and then bring these to my closest teams, right? Which starts off with my family. First, actually, I see before that, which then is Heather. She is the next co-founder of my life. Then it goes to our immediate family, and then it goes to our teams here in the different businesses. And then finally to the people that, like all the good folks that are listening to us now.
And the members of the gym and the people
That's
you
right.
touch through love that. That's great. Okay, cool. Let's just jump into it because we've got 10 of them and we want to try to get to all of them inside of this episode. So number 1, we need to work on changing us, not them.
Well, it's so easy. Just we've talked about this a lot on this podcast, to point fingers instead of pull thumbs. You know, it's the Jocko thing of extreme ownership. Is if we just thought of everything in terms of the way, what am I doing to contribute to this situation, positively or negatively? And it's so easy to think and point over the fence to your neighbor and go, look how messy their backyard is. It's so easy to look at anyone, and you just hear it in conversations all the time. So I think one of the things that's helped me as a kid, and you're the same, but we grew up fairly introverted, is when you're an introvert, you become an observer, and you observe kind of the way that people communicate and talk and what's on their mind and what they're thinking about. And the unfortunate thing is, I throw myself into this as well. we tend to do this. We tend to kind of go like, if they could only be better, right? It's one of the things, it's funny that we're talking about this. I just had a call with my head of marketing, and um, one of the points that we were talking about was, what is the biggest constraint on the business? What is the biggest obstacle that we need to solve? And we used to think it was X, and now we think it is Y. And as he's saying this, he goes, and I just want to point out, I totally agree with you. And I am not a perfect human being, that I have a tendency to point towards other people. And just that a level of awareness is so cool, right? Like, and I realize that like it probably a lot of this resides with me, but my tendency is to say it's actually them. So as I'm saying them, I want you to call me out and ask me, is it me? Like it's just, if we all had that level of vulnerability, right? Even in the conversations with ourselves, when something's not going right with your wife, going, how am I contributing to this? Like, where am I falling short?
Why doesn't my kid ever listen to me?
That
Right?
right. Like
Yeah.
that's such a good one.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
it's their kid's fault, right?
Yeah,
Of course,
of
it's your
course.
kid's fault.
Yeah.
Why does your kid not listen to you? And we see this with like some of our coaches working with athletes. They're like, well, of course she got hurt. She never comes in and warms up. She comes in to class every, like, we're putting it on them that like, instead of taking ownership responsibility. So that's our first one. That's it, again, going back to the title of this whole thing, hard to hear.
Yeah. It reminds me of the the Taylor Swift story that we've mentioned here before, which is it was in some documentary, and she was being filmed as the Grammy nominations were coming out. It was one of her albums had come out. So they were expecting her to get, some number of Grammy nominations, and she didn't get any. And she was on the phone with her manager or agent or somebody trying to make her feel better. And the easy thing in that scenario would be like, why don't people respect the work that I did? Why didn't they see what everybody else saw, whatever? And Taylor Swift's response is, we just need to make a better album,
I
right?
love, oh, it's
It's
so
such a
good.
good story, and it's so easy to skip over because she's Taylor Swift and she's popular and whatever. But like the lesson inside of that is so wildly valuable. Don't worry about what other people judge as being a good album. Your job is to just make a better album than you did last time.
Wow, I love that. Right. And we can take that to the obvious, right? You take that to every facet, right? Like it's not that your customers have bad taste.
Right. It's not
It's
because
not
your
that
members
you're
don't listen or they don't show up. It's
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Now it
it's
might
on
be
you to,
that there's a degree of truth to that, but there's also zero control in that, right?
it's
To
so
just hand it
disempowering
off.
to
Yeah,
have that.
exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So where is it that we can actually, like, we're trying to move it from the circle of concern to the circle of influence. You have no influence over them. You have all the influence over the way you come to the table every single day. So are you coming with all of your best stuff? And by the way, none of us are. This is the whole thing. We're always coming up short of our best selves. So why not just put the emphasis into us trying to edge up to be the better versions of us rather than them? It's even like trying to change people in period, right? Like, why does my fill in the blank relative or whatever eat better? It's like, well, maybe we just focus on us. It's not like that's not complacency. It's not caring. It's putting things into like just recognize the areas that we're not perfect.
Yeah. Number two, we complain a lot and it's not helping.
Yeah, this is so people are listening to this kind of know the jam, but we have a really kind of first principle, which is never whine, never complain, never make excuses. That's just completely ripped right from the words that John Wooden wrote down in his book. He has another one, which is never lie, steal, or cheat. And those are his 6 things. Like, just never do those things. I think the first ones are just table stakes, right? So, like, but this next one is hard. It's really hard not to complain for the same reasons that we kind of listed above. It's so easy just to point the finger. And while this is so hard and fast into our culture, we even have, we have the bracelets. I'm wearing it now, right? You still hear it all the time. And people, myself included, I think I do it more in my own head than out loud because I try to train the words a lot, Mark England stuff. But even when people are aware of how destructive negativity is, it's still the default. Like if you are not, this is kind of like the concept of drift, right? There is a current pulling on us. It is actually built into our biology to be negative. It is vital to our survival to be negative. Really important that we remember which berries kill us, then which tastes better. The really red strawberries are the ones with the little green on the top. That's not nearly as important that those 7 over there will kill you or make you pee out of your butt for 2 days. So we're hardwired, like, same thing, like the rustling in the bush. Like if we have to we have to default to as our ancestral past, that might be a big animal with huge claws that might see us as food. So be negative instead of like, I wonder if there's a little bunny rabbit that I could catch and have me have a meal out of. The default is the negative. So we're hardwired for it. It also doesn't serve us the way it did then when we were trying to use our DNA, our default, our to stay alive. We're in survival all the time. The elements would kill us if we didn't. Now we don't. We're talking over whatever this is. I don't even know what this is. We're talking about technology,
The airwaves.
the airwaves.
Yep.
So we have to kind of the punchline is that we have to override this default mechanism of complaining because blame and complain and you remain the same. You remain the same. You are not growing. If you're not growing, you are not living the good life.
Yeah, and I also complaining a lot puts you in a state of stress. And we've talked before about what it is, the physical and emotional and mental ramifications of being inside of chronic stress. And complaining is like us signing up for more chronic stress, right? Stress is coming. We've talked about that all the time. Stress is coming. We can't avoid it. We shouldn't try. But to sign up for more of it than we need is what it looks like to complain.
Yeah, it's cool. So this kind of goes to the mapping of the hierarchy of mindset, right? Victims and the pessimists complain. They're the complainers. Well, we know that that is actually super detrimental to your health. Like to the point where, yes, it creates more stress. Stress literally is a artery clogging. This is like literally will clog your arteries, which leads to, the number one killer of the 4 horsemen of chronic disease with arteriosclerosis. And that is as much a function of chronic stress, which you are love the way you're saying that, which you are voluntarily signing up for. I was talking to a member the other day whose son is a special forces. And she was talking to him about how she's stressed with her job. And his response was, stress is a made up emotion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a manufactured, it's not real. I think it is real. It just, we've associated it with things that aren't real. We say that the boss asking you to get that project done, we respond to that as if it was being chased by the big furry animal with the big teeth and claws. And it's not. So in that sense, we are sort of not maybe making it up, but misattributing it.
2 quotes, and then we'll move on. The first is from Tony Robbins. He says that stressed is the achiever word for fear, which I just love. And then the second one is probably my favorite Seth Godin quote, which is the best way to complain is to make things better.
Oof.
How good is that, right? The best way to complain is to make things better. We're brought to you by David Protein, the bar that delivers more protein for fewer calories than any leading bar on the market. I grab a David bar almost every single morning. A bar plus a couple pieces of fruit has become kind of my go-to start for the day. And if I can land 20 to 30 grams of protein before 9 a.m., I know the rest of my nutrition is set up to succeed. David has 2 lines. Gold, which has 28 grams of protein, 150 calories, 0 sugar, and Bronze, which has 20 grams of protein, still 150 calories, still 0 sugar. The gold bars hit 75% of calories from protein. Bronze comes in at about 53%, both of them well above the industry average, which comes in around 40%. David is offering our listeners a special deal. Buy 4 cartons and get a 5th for free when you go to davidprotein.com/excellence. That's davidprotein.com/excellence. And if you prefer to shop in person, David is available at Target, Walmart, Kroger, Wegmans, and the Vitamin Shop. Just check their store locator to find a location near you. We are brought to you this time around by Momentous. Here's something I have noticed in the performance space and honestly on the show. As we have these conversations, people will obsess over their training, dial in their protein, track their sleep to the minute, and still feel like something's off. Most of the time, the problem isn't what they're optimizing, it's the foundation beneath all of it, which is gut health. When your gut is not dialed in, your body can't absorb nutrients the way it should. Energy becomes unstable, recovery slows, focus gets harder to hold. Everything else you're doing works just a little less. That's what Momentous Fiber Plus was built to address, one of the most overlooked foundations of long-term performance. It's a complete 3-in-1 formula, soluble fiber, insoluble fiber, and a prebiotic-resistant starch, designed to support gut health from start to finish. Science first, formulation, clean ingredients, NSF for sports certified. If it doesn't meet Momentous' standard, it does not hit the shelves. Right now, Momentous is offering our listeners, that's you, up to 35% off your first order when you use the promo code EXCELLENCE. Head to livemomentous.com. Use that code EXCELLENCE for up to 35% off that order. That's livemomentous.com, promo code EXCELLENCE. We are brought to you by Function Health. I have my mid-year blood draw coming up here in a couple weeks, and one of the things I always want to be able to account for when I look at my results is sleep. My current practice, digital sunset at 8 o'clock, then lights out by 9:15. That is my nightly routine. But here's what I've come to understand. Sleep isn't just about the hours. It's the foundation for everything: performance, mood, focus, recovery. And you can't fully understand your sleep without looking at your labs. If sleep is off, the data will likely show it. Elevated inflammation, shifts in glucose and cortisol. And when sleep improves, everything else improves. That's what I appreciate about Function. It gives you real data so you actually know what's happening inside your body, not just guessing based on how you feel. We use Function here at the show, and we think you should too. Own your health and start by understanding what is happening beneath the surface. Function gives you access to 160 plus lab tests every year, including advanced markers for heart health, inflammation, stress, hormones, toxins, and all of it for just $365 a year. Join Function using our link, functionhealth.com/excellence, or use the code excellence25 for a $25 credit toward your membership. Next one, number 3, our priorities are out of whack.
Yeah, this goes to like a little bit of a like reminder to self of when we've been sold something that I don't think is gonna get us to where we actually want to go.
Hmm.
Right. That the material success, that the grind, the hustle, that the busyness, that the accolades, awards, and achievements, basically the whole like dopamine filled culture, right? Is saying that this is what you should, and this is what you should chase. It's kind of the premise of this whole show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're saying that that's something worth questioning. It's, we shouldn't just fall for it at face value and just accept it because that's what society, teachers, parents, and everyone else has said is what you should be prioritizing. And I try to like elevate this. I'm not saying your priorities out of whack in terms of like whether you should have an Apple or something else. I can't, you get it. But it's like, we're not trying to figure out these really kind of like easy, like which one's more important. We're trying to go with like the really default thing of like, what do you think you want your life to be about? Because then when you get started at that level, it's a decision tree all the way down. And then all these other ones that seemed really important go like, well, that doesn't even enter the conversation at this point. Because I just had this great conversation with our CFO. You would think that our CFO would be all about making more money and growing the business. He goes, it has to start with what you want. When you walk in here every day, what is the thing you want to feel? That's so awesome to come from a guy whose job is supposed to be make the business more money, make sure you're on track for more growth. And it's not that. It's about health, not financial health. Financial health plays a picture, but is not the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to put this just in terms of like financial earnings. The idea behind this is question your wants and your desires. Where are those actually coming from? And we've talked about this before, but I think the healthiest counter to that is imagine yourself as your 80-year-old self with just a few days or weeks left. What is it that you're going to wish that you had done? And this is just the deathbed exercise. It's perspective in the present moment. So it requires a little bit of zooming out. instead of just riding along the default wave.
Yeah, I was thinking about the fact that I don't know that a lot of people actually set their priorities. I think a lot of people grab at priorities based almost entirely on what they see other people grabbing at.
Mm.
Right? As if there's this limited number, and if they don't grab one, they're not gonna get any at all. And I think and this is really just reiterating what you just said. I think the real work is to disentangle ourselves from everything that we were taught intentionally and unintentionally for the first 18 or 20 years of our lives, and then be able to pick apart and choose with some more intention what the one or two actual priorities might be, and then to act in accordance with them, of course, which is, they're both hard. But I think that that's really the work for everybody, is to first recognize, like you said, what priorities did I just pick up because I thought I was supposed to? So can I put those down? And then what actually matters to me? And then can I pick that up? And then can I start making decisions in alignment with that?
Can we start making decisions that are in line with that? Like that's the whole idea that we're trying to do is our align actions and values. So what do we actually value to your point, instead of picking up someone else's values? Because maybe we really value calmness as I do, right? That's one of my really strongest as I've thought about this more and more. It's one of my strong I love calm. I hate drama. So it's an anti-vision thing, right? That we worked on a few months ago. So if I hate drama, if I hate gossip, if I hate toxicity, what is the thing I actually want? I want peace of mind and I want calm. If that's the true sort of, I don't know if it's a North Star, but it's directionally correct. What are my priorities then? What are the things that as you said, what should we be picking up? It's not things, and this has kind of gotten into the question of like CFO thing, that probably, doing a fundraising round with a venture capital is probably not going to instill more calmness,
Yep, that's for sure.
right? Whereas, guess what? Every one of these business forums I'm in is telling me to do
That,
exactly that.
yeah, because the priority isn't calm. The priority is growth,
Growth.
or the stated priority is
Yes.
growth, is
Grow to
more,
grow.
is grow. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yep, I think that's exactly it.
Growth for growth's sake.
Exactly. Number 4, the story we are telling ourselves isn't true.
Yeah, sort of tangential to that one, right?
Yeah.
But here's even more so is we have so many unconscious biases. We have so many the world that we are seeing and the reality that is being presented to ourselves is not factual. And I'm not saying like we live in a matrix or something like that.
With that, there's no
Maybe
objective truth.
maybe I am, right? But what I'm saying is our reality is shaped by our beliefs. If you believe something, goes into the frequency illusion and confirmation bias, recency bias. There are so many things that shape our reality. That's not the healthiest way to navigate life. Like what we want to try and do is scrape away. I want to go through this thing with no biases. I want to be on discovery for actual truth. So you can imagine a situation where you and your wife are not seeing eye to eye on something. You guys are in a little bit of a tiff about something.
Hmm.
You believe something happened that caused that. She believes something different, something else happened that happened that. We're both completely convicted in the stories that we're telling ourselves. Those stories do not serve us. So the more that we can pull away from this storytelling mechanism, which our brain loves to operate on, which that's what we are as human beings. We are storytelling machines. We are trying to create a narrative full of, Jameson's words, full of villains and heroes and good and
Yep.
evil and triumphs and failures. We really do. We narrate this experience we're having, but the narration is fraud. It's not real. So if we are able to peel that back a little bit and see things more unbiased, your ability to then relate and have a deep, meaningful, loving, long-term relationship with your wife goes up exponentially. Like that is the health of these relationships is basically how little of that are you doing?
Mm.
Because if every time something happens, you're like, there she goes again. She's doing this thing, trying to control me or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Why does she tell me to do like, I don't know what the things are people argue about, but that's I use that as one of the examples, but it goes into everything, right? Right down to why we complain, right down to can we look at ourselves? How can we improve rather than the storytelling that it's my customer's fault? It's the other side of the political spectrum. It is all of these stories that we tell ourselves, which just are not true. And it's becoming worse and worse. This isn't the old guy diatribe, but we've done enough of that. But the way that our infotainment is set up now, it is such confirmation bias.
Mhm.
The social network, the social dilemma movie, the entire premise is built off of this, which is people looking across the other side of the political spectrum and going, how can they not see this? How can they still believe what they believe? Why can't they see this? And the answer is
'Cause they don't.
they're not seeing it.
Yeah.
They literally aren't seeing it. So the story is completely different. So the more that we can pop up out of that a little bit and not do so much storytelling, but go kind of like in the first one, what am I doing to contribute to this? It helps us live a better life, certainly a more productive one.
Let's just to make sure we don't go too long here and we should move on to the next one. We feel like we are better or worse. We are not. That seems
Mm.
related to the
Yeah,
storytelling one
storytelling,
before.
right. Yeah, because we like to tell ourselves those stories as well, right? And I'm
Totally.
certainly at fault for this in both senses. I feel like I'm constantly going back and forth between these two things, and I can't see how it helps me at all. I've done forever. I told myself I was too young, and I think very quickly I'm going to be start telling myself I'm too
I'm
old.
too old.
Like I'm just so what is it? Like you're
You missed it.
neither.
It's like an it's
Yeah.
like an avocado. You've got like 15 minutes where it's perfect. Too
Yeah.
bad. Yeah,
It was
not
when I was
ready.
33
Brown.
years old,
Yeah.
3
It was a
months and 3
it was
days.
Tuesday and
Yeah.
you
It was
just you
Tuesday of
didn't do it.
1989. That was the day that I was not too old or too young. But it's that type of it's you're not this or that. It's so easy to I fall for this trap so much in like my business. It's like no one can build this business the way I can. And then I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't be the one that does this because I have no idea. You go from like, I'm the only one that knows how to do this to like complete imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And neither one of those serve us. It's like you don't need to be telling yourself that story. You are not as probably as good as you think you are, and you're definitely not as bad as you think you are sometimes.
Yeah. What is that phrase? It's you're not better than anybody and nobody's better than you.
Mm,
That's what it is. Right? It's recognizing that there is that truth in the middle that you are not special, but you are worthy of what you have. Right? And recognizing that both of those things can be true at the same time.
You know what I came across? I forget where I got this, but there is a certain character trait that's very common amongst successful entrepreneurs, which is that they have this crazy level of insecurity coupled with I can do huge, amazing things.
I think that's a Hormozy thing. I
Yeah,
think he
that
talks about
sounds
that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And you need both.
Yeah, it's kind of that, but I don't know. I think if we got rid of that narrative, it would really benefit us all. Instead of trying to like, because what it does is if I value calmness, which ultimately is what leads to peace of mind. The thing that pulls you away from either of those two things is judgment, right? And judgment is, am I better or am I worse? And, as Shakespeare has said, there is no good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Yep.
So instead of trying to continually try to judge yourself against other people, probably the worst way, at least judge yourself relative to where you were yesterday, but to judge yourself versus other people, am I better or worse than them? It's going to do just that. It's going to rip you out of this beautiful state
Yep.
and put you into a place where you are distracted and unable to bring your best self forward. And we talk about this in terms of athletics and peak performance all the time, which is a flow state is that one of open-mindedness, positivity, and non-judgment.
Yep.
Well, once you judge, it's like literally like you're either in a lit room or a dark room. The room goes dark once you judge. You no longer get to see everything.
I think there's also an element of like finite games versus infinite games in this one too. I think when we're either feeling like we are better or we are feeling like we are worse, what we're really doing is trying to assign a score to something that you can't really put a score on. But how else are we judging ourselves better or worse except for this imaginary scorecard that we're holding in our back pocket? Right. And so it's this recognition that we are almost never playing finite games, right? Finite games have rules and winners and losers, and everybody knows what they're playing, and there's a beginning and an end to them. But in almost every context where we have these feelings of like, I'm doing terrible or I'm the best, I'm the only person who can do this, we're really inside of an infinite game, which is, it could be a business, it could be a relationship, it could be any number of things. And an infinite game you play in order to keep playing the infinite game. And
Right.
so therefore there's no winners, there's no scoreboard at all. I think remembering better and worse are an attempt to create certainty in an environment where there is inherently no certainty. And our job is actually to get comfortable inside of the uncertainty. So we're not reaching for some false sense of, am I winning or am I losing? Because there's no winning and there's no losing. And if we can get our head around that idea, then we can free ourselves, I think, a little bit occasionally from this narrative of we're better or we're worse and all of the pendulum swinging between those two states. Where instead, to your point, we can just live in the middle of it. We can stay calm, we can stay responsive and not reactive.
Yeah, that's great. It's very much that. As you were laying that out, I realized why we do this as well, right? We, as evolutionarily, we're hierarchical beings.
Yep. Yeah,
We
we want
need
to
to
know where we
know,
sit. Yeah.
yeah, we need to know where we sit. So you get choice of mate and choice
Totally.
of meat. Like
Yep.
that's,
Mates and meat, baby.
and that again is one of those things that was survival before, which isn't a part of today's world. So there is no this idea like of I gotta try to rank myself at all times. Again, just doesn't serve us for where we are today.
Number 6, we could be doing so much more. I think this is my favorite one.
Hmm. We can, right? That's it. We can. Like, I don't know. I just think that I think there's a reason that we have like chasing excellence,
Mm,
right? It's not be excellent.
right.
It's like go try to do it. It's not more in terms of productivity. It's more impact. It's more,
It's back to the priorities, right?
yeah, right.
Right.
It's
If you
like
set the right priority, then we can say, what does more look like? What is the right more?
you could be doing more to be a great dad. You could be doing more to be a great husband or person in your relationship. You could be doing more to be a great neighbor. You could be doing more to be a better to take care of your body. You could be doing more to, and this is so, what I don't want to do is like, this is in no way, shape, or form a nod towards perfectionism.
Yep.
Because what we could be doing so much more is so much more having grace with ourselves, not beating ourselves up for not being perfect. Like I've really loved, which we kind of shaped this conversation around recently a little bit, is that idea of Aristotle's soul.
Mm,
And the soul is the best version of you. I just love it. It's not in the religious sense, right? It's not your soul goes on to heaven or roams around the universe when we're gone. It's your soul it's a part of you here on planet Earth, and it represents the very, very best that you could possibly be. Well, we're all a degree, 2, 3, or a dozen short of that. We could be doing more. We could be doing more to be a better person. And that's really what it is. And as I just said, don't beat yourself up because beating yourself up is not in line with your best soul.
mm,
So it's kind of this whole like, which if there is a new sort of like evolution to this chasing excellence, it is that, right? It is not only a fulfilled life, it is not only the good life, it is not only health in the 5 factors to create the freedom to be able to pursue those things. I have a hard time. I haven't seen it framed up better in terms of the highest arching objective of what we're trying to do and what it means to live a good, meaningful life than
mm.
to try to align yourself as close as possible today, tomorrow, and forever with the essence of your soul.
Yeah.
So do more to get closer to that.
Yeah. And I think about like, so many of the things we've already talked about, and probably a few things that we will talk about next, but like complaining or our priorities out of whack, or the stories we're telling ourselves that aren't true, or even the story that, hey, we are better, or nope, today we're actually
Right.
worse. All of those things are stealing from us our time and our energy and our attention. And when they steal those things from us, we have less to give. We have less ability to do more
Mhm.
that would put us closer in alignment with that higher sense of ourselves. Right. And so it's
So
like, it's
good.
this, every one of these things that we're talking about. And we talk about it, all the time. It's, and you already used this word once, which I love, which is distraction. They're all of them distract from our ability to take the moment that we're in and point ourselves towards the few things that actually do matter. And every time we get distracted and everything, we look over there and we tell ourselves an unhelpful story. What we're really doing is we're taking our eye off the ball. And now we have to eventually reorient ourselves and take the energy it takes to do that and then start moving forward again. And it's this all song and dance in this circle that we're continually doing. And the work is staying focused on the few things that matter. And everything we're
Mm.
talking about so far are the things that ultimately don't matter. We are brought to you by Cozy Earth, a brand on a mission to elevate the everyday through better materials and the kind of quality that reshapes small moments. February has us thinking about the ways we could take care of ourselves, and few investments quietly pay off more than better sleep. Sleep is one of the 5 factors we come back to on the show all the time, and the environment you sleep in matters more than most people ever realize. Cozy Earth makes sleepwear and home goods from viscose, from bamboo, and the difference in feel is real. Their bamboo pajama set sleeps cooler than cotton and helps you fall asleep faster, stay comfortable longer. Their classic cuddle blanket is richly plush, the kind of comfort you reach for every single night. I promise you will do that. Both come with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. Share a little extra love this February and wrap yourself or somebody you care about in comfort that truly feels special. Go to cozyearth.com. Use the code excellence for up to 20% off the whole site. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the show. Celebrate everyday love with comfort that makes the little moments count. Every year around this time, something shifts in how we think about money at my house. We stop thinking about last year's finances and we start thinking about this year's finances. That's why we use Monarch, because most financial apps are built around the past, showing you what you spent, making you feel bad about it. Monarch, though, is built for the future. So set yourself up for financial success this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts, investments, net worth, and future planning together all in one dashboard on your phone or your laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this year and get 50% off your Monarch subscription when you use the code excellence. Unlike most apps, Monarch keeps you proactive, giving you a complete picture of your budgets, debt timelines, savings goals, net worth, all of it so you can make decisions that actually move the needle. Set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use the code excellence at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with the code excellence. We are sponsored this time around by Warby Parker, the brand that has completely reimagined what it feels like to buy quality eyewear. I will be honest, I never really cared about what kind of sunglasses I wore, but I recently decided that I was going to be a grown-up and actually get a great pair, and I ended up at Warby Parker. Before I even ordered, I fell down a rabbit hole on their virtual try-on feature. You just point your phone, or in my case, my computer, at my face and tried on a dozen frames. I spent way too long doing it, but I landed on the Perkins LBF in black matte Eclipse. They just showed up and I love them. Beyond sunglasses, Warby Parker carries prescription glasses starting at just $95, contacts, online eye exams, and more, all in one single place. Our listeners get 15% off plus free shipping when they buy 2 or more pairs of prescription glasses at warbyparker.com/excellence. That's 15% off when you buy 2 pairs of glasses at warbyparker.com/excellence. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them that we sent you. Number 7, we are not good at being objective.
Well,
Yeah, we talked about stories, complaints, trying to work on people changing them instead of us. Those are all like,
yeah, we're the main characters in the movies of our lives, and we're gonna see everything through that main character's point of view. That is not life. Like, we are one of 8 billion people, one of 8 billion souls on this planet. Our view is not right. This kind of like surmises all of the things that we just talked about. That's what I was saying is, when in the beginning, I was like, the last of these sort of wrap on top of each other,
yeah,
right? Yeah, like, oh yeah, you think that, but guess what? Also, yeah, yeah. but you're not going to be
But
objective.
also,
So
yeah.
that argument kind of falls on its face because you're coming to this with some sort of like bias that probably isn't real. So I think that the idea here is continuing to challenge ourselves. I really like what you said is we're sort of by default going to be distracted. In
Mhm.
order for us to pour our energy, attention, time, resources, energy being the big one, right? In order to pour our energy and focus into the things that are really going to truly matter to us, a level of objectivity there is kind of key. Otherwise, we're going to be caught up in this distracted state and making decisions in this distracted state. So it requires us to zoom out. And I think continually zooming out to try to take in as much of a picture as possible. In the military, they have that acronym OODA, which is it starts with orient. Like the first thing before you make any, it goes like orient, objective, decide, something. But basically, the idea is before you decide anything, orient yourself. Like where actually are you? Like
Yeah, I
zoom
love
out a
that.
little bit.
Yes.
Like don't just like pull the trigger there. Like, wait a minute, are you where you need more context? And I think what we can kind of constantly do is like continually challenge ourselves to zoom out of this really what seemingly in the moment seems really urgent and important. And maybe this isn't. Like you're in the midst of a thing with your kids and why aren't they listening to me? And you want to get
Hmm.
emotional,
Yep.
you're frustrated, angry, whatever it is. Can we zoom out a little bit? Because if we don't, we are not going to bring our best self forward. And if we don't bring our best self forward, we don't get closer to the objective, which is a better, more meaningful, loving relationship with your kids that also leads to them growing up to being the responsible adults that chase excellence, right?
Mhm.
So it's a matter of not relying so much on the immediacy of the minute circumstances and emotions that you're feeling right now, but try to be a little bit more objective in this situation.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of looping back on our previous ones, what just struck me was if we get better at being objective, I think by virtue of that we complain less because almost always complaining is fighting against the reality that has presented itself to us. Right? Traffic, blah blah blah. Traffic, it's always their fault. And why is it? But like if we can stay objective, we can say, well, if traffic is always here, then why didn't I leave 20 minutes earlier so that I wasn't 20 minutes late? Right? So like I think if we can continually continually try to be objective, I think some of these other things that we've talked about start to actually come in line, right? When we can be objective, we can probably see how trying to change somebody else is way less effective than trying to change ourselves, right? Or something like that.
Yeah,
But
when you're objective, you can see if your priorities out of whack. You can
exactly, right.
see the story you're telling yourself.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I was thinking about
I'm not better or worse.
as you were chatting, yeah, because I think we've already talked about today, but the idea of the realist inside of that mindset continuum. I think it'd be really easy and push back on this, but I think it'd be really easy to think, well, the realist sees things 100% objectively all of the time. But I don't think that that's possible. I think it's probably a slightly better, slightly more nuanced definition of the realist is they strive to see things with objectivity, but still recognize that they will not always be able to accomplish that. Right. And so just having that recognition of I'm going to try really hard not to tell myself a story about something that's not true, that's not objective, but I still am the main player inside of the movie in my head. And I need to recognize that as well.
Yeah, that's very well said. The realist is doing their darndest to not story tell, right? But they also recognize that there's probably going to be a story loop going. We're human beings. We're storytelling machines. What the optimists, the ones below that, the optimists, the pessimist, and the victim do is they are storytellers. They are creating a narrative. The realist realizes that there's a narrative going on, but they have a healthy dose of skepticism of whether that's actually true or not. It is the wise old farmer that says like, we'll see. He might be like bummed out that his son broke his leg, but he's also willing to like postpone whether this is good or bad. And if you think about this is why we kind of shape it up on that continuum. The left-hand side of the continuum, the victim, the pessimist and the optimist, those are the storytellers. Well, what does storytelling do? A good story creates drama.
Mhm.
So what we're saying is on that side of the spectrum, you're creating drama. You are actually dramatic.
Yep.
You are melodramatic. Like this is not the way that you actually want to navigate the life in the best possible way. What you want is calmness, peace of mind, truth, non objectivity, so that you can do all the things what you said in the last answer was so great. So you can bring your best self, your attention and energy to the things that matter most.
Mhm.
If you're caught up in the drama, you can't do that. Think of like a kid throwing a temper tantrum, like a toddler, or think of I have a preteen girl in middle school. Think of the drama that they deal with. Like, are they actually navigating the most important parts of their life, or are they caught up in things that don't matter that much? The reason they're caught up in the things that don't matter much is because the stories they're telling themselves and creating drama. So, what the realist does is not they are void of this part of humanity. It is they recognize it's happening and they question it. They don't, it's curiosity over judgment.
Yep. Number 8, being defensive is holding us back. No, it's not. That's what I said that one.
That's so good.
That's my response to that one, Ben.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like so obvious, right? Like if you are so set in your ways that you can't be open minded, Ray Dalio, Bridgewater Capital, the most successful venture company ever, wrote Principles. The entire book is about remove closed-minded people from your life. That's really like the whole idea. Is that the whole idea is growth happens in these loops. These loops happen when you are open to learning. If you are not open to learning, you don't have the loop. All you have is whether someone was successful or failure, and there's no growth trajectory.
Yep.
It's just kind of the same thing. Like we need to stay like, first off, like hard but true. That's what this whole list is again, right? Hard to hear but true. We probably are more closed-minded than we think. We probably are more defensive than we think we are. Again, it goes right back to the survival things of like if people thought we were wrong about things, we have no value. If you have no value, why are you part of the society? If you have no value to the society, kick you out into the wilderness and you get eaten
Mhm.
by the big fuzzy thing with the claws. So it comes down to like all this goes back to our like Paleolithic ancestral self, which is built up so much of our biology.
So
And
much of
we
our
still,
software was written
yeah,
so
right.
long ago.
It's so long ago. And it just isn't, while it's still a part of us, it doesn't serve us. So us staying closed minded and defending like our stance, like the same middle school daughter, Harley, she said to me before, she's like, sometimes I argue things even when I know that I'm wrong at them. And I just do it to like, I don't even know why I do it, but like,
Me too,
I'll
Harley.
just like,
Me too.
yeah, I'll just keep going. It's like, yeah, that. Like, I'm so glad you're aware of that.
Yep.
I think of these like a sort of like intersecting loops, right? Calm is certainly one of them. The other C, that's one of them as well, is like curiosity. Curiosity is the antithesis of a fixed mindset, the antithesis of judgment. Be curious, not judgmental. I think that those are two really high level first principles that we should always just sort of ask ourselves, like when we get presented with anything, like, is this going to create more calm for me? Value. I would ask myself, is this going to create more calm in my life or not? And am I being curious or judgmental in this situation?
Mhm. Talk a minute about the holding us back part of this. Being defensive is holding us back. What do you think we protect ourselves by being defensive? So like like the first part of it, I know where it comes from, but what is the cost of that in your mind other than, you talked about growth already in that growth loop. But like what do you mean by holding back? What do we actually lose by being defensive?
So what we lose is growth and evolution, which is inherent to us living a good life. Like everybody, Arthur Brooks or the Dalai Lama or anybody, they've all talked about how learning and evolving is a necessary part. Even Stephen Covey is one of his 4 L's: live, love, lead, learn. Like learning, growing, evolving is one of the core endowments of a good life. So we want to learn, grow, and evolve. Well, if we're judgmental, that's the antithesis of the growth loop. In Carol Dweck's words, this would be fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Growth mindset is I'm open to being wrong. I want to identify as the learner. I want to be able to get better at this. So tell me and please give me the feedback, coach me, tell me where I can improve. Whereas the one that's being defensive is, no, you're wrong. No, you don't know what you're talking about. No, no, I got this figured out. Like, no, it's the opposite of humility, right? It's a constant fixed mindset person, which is I'm only going to put myself in situations where I know I will succeed. Well, if that's the case, what you are doing is you're avoiding challenge. If you avoid challenge, there is no growth. This is like organisms 101. Like you have to be forced to adapt to something for an organism to change and grow.
That makes me think back to the priorities again. Again, we just keep looping back on itself. But like if your priority is to protect your ego, then being defensive makes sense, right? You want to protect that. That's a priority. I want to feel good about myself. Okay.
And then what
But
do
if
you
the
do? You look at it's their fault,
Yep,
right? And then
exactly.
you complain,
Yes.
and
Great.
then you
Yes. Yeah. But if the priority is growth, if the priority is being a learner, then being defensive doesn't make sense because that's not in line with that priority. And again, it can't be something that you just pay lip service to because in the moment, if you say, I want to be a learner, but in the moment where you get the opportunity to learn something the hard way and you resist it and you push it away, then that's not actually a priority. That's just something that's, as we've talked about with values all the time, that's just a nice word you put on a poster on the wall. Right. And so it's really important, I think, that we are honest with ourselves. And then when we are sure that we are right, that this is a real priority, that calmness is a priority, that being a learner is a priority, then we have to grit our teeth and we've got to hold our breath and we've got to get through the moments when our immediate reaction is to push away from those things or to push further away from those things because they're uncomfortable.
yeah, if we're pushing away from things that are uncomfortable, then there we have it, right? That's where we get to this. It's holding you back.
Yep. Where are we at? Number 9, life isn't fair. Get over it. Get over it is something my mother has said to me since I can remember. This is her
Really?
phrase. Yeah, she's amazing, but that's
I
her
talked to her about
general
this one.
life philosophy, which is,
That's
yeah,
why I
get
added it
over
in there.
it.
I had it in there and I shared it with her and she was like, you should put get over it. Patrick would like that. I try to remind my kids of this a lot because what the kids will say is, it's not fair,
Mm.
right? Bodie got the bigger piece of pizza. That's not fair.
Oh yeah.
Bodie got to watch the iPad in the car ride while I was going to my tutor. That's not fair.
Yep.
How come this? That's not fair. This is just one of those like what you want versus what's reality. Life, it's not fair. Like in fact, it's brutally, brutally unfair. It is so unfair that I grew up with the family I grew up with, in the town I grew up with the peace and safety that I had. I never had to worry about getting beat up. I never had to worry about food on my table. I
Mhm.
never had to worry about being abused as a kid. That is so unfair compared to the people that are growing up in atrocious circumstances. There's no fairness to that. There's no, and to try to like get the smaller things closer is an absurd practice. So once you recognize that there is no fairness to this thing, it actually creates a lot of freedom because you're not trying to create fairness.
Right, because life should be fair is a story, and it's a story that will never be true, and therefore you will always be in tension with that story you are telling yourself. You will always be in a state of stress because you are waiting for something that will never happen.
It's exactly right. If I was to say, like, maybe like give like a top 5 of the victim mindset, this is in the top 5,
Absolutely.
which is like, this isn't fair. Like, why do I have to deal with this?
Yep.
Like, why is this happening to me?
Why do I have to change? Why can't they?
And guess what? You're so right. This isn't fair. The biggest one I always think of is like, I can't imagine like to lose a baby or a toddler, like to you lose a child, right? That is so horrifically unfair. Yes. Yep, it is. But it's to lean into that isn't the helpful thing. Is it unfair? Yes, it is. Just yes, it is unfair. Like own that part of it. Yes, this was unfair. But there's no more story after that. It's not unfair so, it's not unfair again, it's not this is what ends up happening is you create the story loop, and then what happens is it becomes the reticular activation system, which you look for things that you believe are true, and now these things that were neutral are now unfair, and that's where it becomes detrimental. It's not that this thing happened and it's unfair. That sucks and that's true,
Yes.
but it's what comes downstream of that when you think that it's supposed to be fair.
And you wait for fairness to introduce itself when what you're saying is, no, you have to actually sit in the discomfort of knowing that the unfairness will probably never resolve itself to the degree to which you wish it would.
It's about taking it goes back to the beginning. It goes back to like, are we taking ownership of our lives? Right. So I've been through I've had so much blessings and so many, I couldn't have written a better life for myself, but there's things that I thought were, if I'm looking back, I could have been like, that's so unfair and gotten pulled down into a rabbit hole, from, having a gym business that, was shut down for 3 months and I still had to pay my employees for that time. And I basically went bankrupt. That's kind of unfair, but that doesn't help. Like once you get past the pity party for yourself, it's about the next thing. I broke 3 bones in my back and was essentially incapacitated, paralyzed for 11 days, didn't even go to the bathroom for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
If you perpetually tell yourselves those stories, what is it that's on the other side of that?
Yeah.
And it's the same, like we just need to, I'm not saying don't have emotion and don't be pissed and don't feel it fully. Do. That allows you actually, it's better. That actually helps you get to the other side where now you can go, okay, and now what? Right? And now what? It's not a balancing act. It's not like, and when's the good thing going to come now? Because it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
No, some people just have lives that are horrific. They've been prisoners of war for 5 years, and tortured. Like that's, but it doesn't help. It speaks a little bit to like the difference between being a victim and having a victim mindset.
Mm.
You can be a victim
Yep.
without having a victim mindset.
Last one. More things won't make us happy.
Happiness is not on the other sides of accolades, awards, or achievements. It's certainly not on the other side of material things. Yet, our biology is not programmed for that. Our biology, meaning the way your brain operates, is going to tell you that lie. I really like it. Chris Williamson had said this the best way that I think I've heard it, which is this is an unlearnable lesson. You can't learn this lesson unless you've gone through it.
Mm.
The way he says it is only once you have the private jet and the mansion and the $10 million bank account can you go, yeah, that didn't make me happy. And everyone that is on the climb trying to get there goes like, you ungrateful son of a bitch. It's only once you've it's an unlearnable lesson until you've actually achieved the thing. Nobody can actually get there.
Mm.
I don't know if that's true. That's unlearnable because I think there are certain people that have done it, have pushed off the more for more fulfillment, more possessions for more enjoyment, satisfaction.
Yep.
But it's so tempting, right? And because we all do it. It kind of goes back to like the growth for growth's sake. And why it's built into our DNA is back in the day, it's part of our biology. It was a whole lot better to have 6 bushels of carrots going into the winter than it was to have 1 carrot.
Yep.
It was so much better to have 5 acres of land than 1 acre of land because the chance of you having a harvest and having food for the winter went up. It was so much better for you to have 6 servants than to be a servant.
Yep.
It was all built into our survival. Again, this is not the case anymore. We're not striving for our survival, but we think, like the way we're wired, as you said, our software was written a million years ago. It is now hardwired into us. And it's really hard to override the hardware, the software. I don't know the difference between those two. It'd be really better if it was really hard to override the software, really hard to override the hardware.
It would be, you can't overwrite hardware. You can only overwrite software.
There we go.
That's what we're trying to do here is we're trying to overwrite the operating system that we are born with so that it's an upgrade. Yeah. All right. That was fun. 10 things that are hard to hear but true. I'm going to go through the list one more time just as a reminder. Number one, we need to work on changing us, not them. Number two, we complain a lot and it's not helping. Number three, our priorities are out of whack. Number four, the story we are telling ourselves isn't true. Number five, we feel like we are better or worse. We are not. Number six, we could be doing so much more. Number seven, we are not good at being objective. Number eight, being defensive is holding us back. Number nine, life isn't fair. Get over it. And number 10, more things won't make us happy. Thanks, Ben. That was fun.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you so very much for tuning into the show this week. Two quick things before you go. First, if you want even more from this episode, go check out the full 5-3-1 breakdown. We give you the 5 big ideas from the episode, 3 reflection questions to help you process it all, and 1 key takeaway that you can put into action right now. The link is in the show notes. The second thing, while you're there, check out the Chase Club. It's our premium membership where we include bonus content, ad-free episodes, and a brand new Chase Tracker app. Check it all out at chasingexcellence.email.